And the Osirion is arguably the oldest megalithic structure in Egypt.
That place is crazy looking.
Totally crazy. And it's all fit together like jigsaw puzzle, and it's...
You remember, Steve, do you remember when we had the Snake Bros on here?
Oh, yeah.
And they were showing us all those cuts of the Osirion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the water, they don't know where the water is coming from. I think it's probably a natural spring or something.
Yeah,
because originally they thought it was Nile water, but it's not Nile water. And it goes down. I mean, from what you see is just at the top of water level, but the water level goes down another 40 feet.
See if you can find an image of like the corner cuts of the Osirion, like where they show like the wall joints coming together and the overlap. Like it looks as if they just stacked all these stones in a big pile and then cut through them to create the negative space.
Yep.
See if I can find
Well, and those are, you have to keep in mind that each one of those stones is almost 100 tons, I mean, the big ones.
You can't really see it there.
Yeah.
This has been ground down, and this is the original stone right there. They just
Just type in like Snake Bros Osirion, you'll find it.
Snake Bros.
So like this, this is like basically the backyard of the Temple of Seti the First at Abydos, and then the temple was built up above it, and in that temple, that's where they had one of these arcs that the Templars found. And
really?
And that's also where those hieroglyphs
there
are.
You go.
Of the helicopter and the.
Is that it?
Yeah. Well,
it doesn't show the grind
You
mark.
can't see it. So like that corner piece, it would have been one stone.
Yeah, it's usually the lentils.
We're having trouble finding it right now.
Yeah, you have to look at the lentils.
Wait, what's this?
No, these were close-up photos, man.
Yeah.
Here, I'll type in.
But the whole place is very mysterious. You know, I mean,
do you know the conventional explanation to how those stones are cut there?
No, they don't know. To be honest, I mean, they know it's rose granite. They know it comes from Aswan, which is
500 miles away.
Yeah, and not only that, but you have to go over a mountain range,
right,
and then back down to the Nile if you're going to transport them. There's a lot of mystery surrounding it, and it's to this day. I mean, it's they don't know where the water's coming from. I'm assuming it's a natural spring.
Yeah,
but again, so at that level where you're seeing it, that water level, it goes down 40 feet.
Right.
Even below that, so it's a huge structure.
They gotta send scuba team down there.
Yeah.
See what's down there.
Yeah. It's I am under the opinion, this is just my conjecture, that they were taking the water from there, they're bringing it up into the temple up above, and they were doing alchemical processes in that temple, and they were extracting from it these monoatomic elements that would go into the ark, which would generate tremendous power. That's my take on it. Now, as far as cutting those stones, there is a process, and I recently revealed this to the Egyptian Antiquities. There's a plant that grows near a lot of the monuments in Egypt, and its scientific name was dictypetalum. And if you do these alchemical processes to it that are taught within Freemasonry, where if you were to do that to acacia, you could extract DMT, but if you do it to this dictypetalum, what you extract is hydrofluoric acid. And hydrofluoric acid eats through granite. It melts granite. It melts the silica in the granite. Yeah, and the only thing that stops that hydrofluoric acid are gold, lead, and beeswax. And so
you can't burn through gold, lead, or beeswax?
Correct. So I think, I know what they probably did with a lot of the etching on granite was they would create a beeswax they pour beeswax over it, and then they cut out and create a template for what they wanted to be burned into the granite.
Interesting.
And then they just put a wash of the hydrofluoric acid on it, and it would eat away into it and etch it. I think this is also, if you go to Dendera, the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, there's these staircases that appear to be melted. And there's all kinds of conjecture about how they got melted. I think it was a hydrofluoric acid spill because they were doing that etching on the walls going up the staircase. And they must have had a spill, and it just melted the stairs. Yeah.
I had this dude on here named Jeffrey Drum. He has a channel called The Land of Chem in Egypt. He lives right across the street from Giza.
Yep.
And he has this crazy, interesting. And
Oh yeah, there's the melted stairs.
he has a super compelling hypothesis on how they used the pyramids to create chemicals. Like he thinks there were chemical manufacturing plants.
Sure.
And he says even when you go inside one of those, I think it was a step pyramid maybe, he said it smells like sulfuric acid. Is that what it was, Steve?
It smells like ammonia.
Ammonia. That's what it was. Ammonia.
Yeah.
He says that people, the conventional explanation for it is from bat shit, but he says it doesn't make sense because for some reason it wouldn't smell like that all the way. It smells the worst the deeper you get, like to the very deepest part of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And he has the diagrams of them, and he lays it out really well on how it would have made perfect sense for those things to be manufacturing those chemicals, and they would have been used to create fertilizer, to spur the growth of agriculture, and all kinds of stuff there.
I think there's something to that. They got these giant boxes down there too, below the step pyramid, and they have almost like a cork on them. It's a stone cork, and you can tell they were like a pressure cooker type of deal at one point in time, so that steam could escape out. But if you tried to pull the cork out, it wouldn't. It wouldn't let you do it.
Right.
So,
and there was also these bowls, these giant bowls that are at the somewhere around that pyramid near the base. It looked like there was these channels going through the rocks, and then these big bowls that looked like they were there to hold the whatever sort of chemical or whatever sort of fluid was coming out of those pyramids.
Quite possibly. I mean, you have to remember Chem or Kemet was the ancient name for Egypt,
right?
And that's where we get alchemy from, from which, and then from there came chemistry,
right?
But it all goes back to Chem or Kemet, Egypt.
He also thinks that when in the Serapeum, there's these scoop marks that are cut out of those big granite boxes down there.
Yep.
He thinks that they would have used these chemicals potentially to soften the stone to scoop out cracks or whatever. Because if those things were using sound or whatever to resonate or whatever, if there was high energy in there, you wouldn't want cracks in there to fuck with the integrity of those boxes, so they would scoop it.
I think that was the hydrofluoric acid that I was talking about. Yeah, I think that's exactly what they were using. Yeah, and in fact, we even find, if you go to Aswan, the quarry where they got all the stone from, you can find the pocking from the acid in certain areas or to this day around there. And then even the unfinished obelisk at Aswan, it has those scoop marks going down the sides of it. And I think that was just where they would pour the acid down,
and under it too, right?
And under it, yeah. And then that's how they would start to shape it. And I'm sure that's what was going on.